The Vancouver condo market is in the midst of a catastrophic meltdown, and it's sending shockwaves through the entire city. The once booming sector is now teetering on the brink of collapse, with over 5,000 condo units at risk of losing all their market value. This sudden, dramatic shift is catching homeowners, investors, and developers off guard, as the dream of homeownership in one of Canada's most coveted cities evaporates before their eyes. This isn't just a minor blip in Vancouver's real estate market, this is a full-blown crisis that could alter the landscape of the city forever. Condo prices, which were once the epitome of Vancouver's soaring property values, are plummeting at an unprecedented rate. Buyers are fleeing, developers are abandoning multi-million-dollar projects, and the city is now grappling with an influx of empty units that are only contributing to the growing sense of chaos. The question everyone is asking, how did it come to this? How did Vancouver, a city that was once the golden child of Canadian real estate, find itself on the verge of collapse? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rising interest rates, soaring construction costs, political mismanagement, and the undeniable failure of the city's housing market to meet the needs of its residents. To understand the magnitude of this disaster, let's start with the numbers. Over 5,000 condo units are now sitting empty, unsold, and rapidly losing their value. This isn't just an isolated issue, this is a systemic failure that is impacting the entire region. In 2023 alone, condo sales in Vancouver dropped by nearly 30%, and prices for newly built condos fell by an astonishing 15%. Experts warn that this trend is only set to continue, with no immediate relief in sight. Vancouver's real estate market has been on the edge for years, with many analysts warning that the city's housing prices were unsustainable. For years, foreign buyers were pouring money into the market, driving up prices, and pushing Vancouver to become one of the least affordable cities in the world. Meanwhile, developers were building condos at breakneck speed, eager to cash in on the high demand and even higher prices. But now, with foreign investors pulling out, local buyers unable to afford skyrocketing prices, and interest rates rising, the market is crumbling under the weight of its own excess. The consequences of this collapse are already being felt by homeowners. For many, their properties are now worth less than what they paid for them, and there are no buyers willing to take them off their hands. The result? A market flooded with condos that no one wants, creating a vicious cycle that is dragging the entire economy down. Developers, once the driving force behind the city's housing boom, are now facing bankruptcy, with many projects stalled or abandoned altogether. One of the largest condo projects in the city, worth over $1 billion, was recently abandoned after the developer could no longer secure financing, leaving thousands of units in limbo. Banks, which were once eager to lend to homebuyers and developers, are now pulling out of the market in droves. The tightening of credit has made it even harder for people to buy homes, while existing homeowners are finding themselves trapped in homes they can no longer afford. Mortgage defaults have reached levels not seen in over a decade, and there are concerns that this could trigger a wider financial crisis in the region. But it's not just the financial strain that's causing chaos in Vancouver, it's the broader societal impact. As condo prices continue to plummet, the dream of homeownership is slipping further out of reach for many Canadians. Vancouver, once considered a desirable place to live, is now becoming a city of empty condos and frustrated homeowners. Families that have invested their life savings into these properties are now facing the harsh reality that their investments are worth nothing. The human toll of this collapse is immeasurable, with many facing financial ruin, stress, and uncertainty about the future. This crisis has far-reaching consequences. The failure of Vancouver's condo market is not just a localized issue, it's a microcosm of a larger, systemic problem that is affecting cities across Canada. The rising cost of housing, coupled with stagnant wages and rising interest rates, is creating a perfect storm that is pushing homeownership out of reach for the average Canadian. In Vancouver, this crisis is particularly severe because the city's housing market has been artificially inflated for years, with prices driven up by foreign investment and speculation. Now, as the market corrects itself, the damage is being felt by ordinary citizens who are left holding the bag. The collapse of Vancouver's condo market also raises serious questions about the future of the city's housing policy. For years, Vancouver's government has been criticized for failing to address the growing affordability crisis. While the city's leaders have implemented policies aimed at curbing speculation and foreign investment, these measures have been largely ineffective in addressing the root causes of the problem. In the face of this crisis, many are calling for more drastic action, including a complete overhaul of Vancouver's housing policies to make housing more affordable for residents. But what happens next? The reality is that the crisis in Vancouver's condo market is far from over. As more units go unsold, developers and investors will be forced to cut their losses, leading to further price declines and even more foreclosures. The ripple effect of this collapse will be felt throughout the region, with job losses in the construction industry, a slowdown in the real estate market, and a growing sense of uncertainty about the future. Many are already speculating that Vancouver's condo crisis could be the beginning of a larger economic downturn, one that could have far-reaching consequences for the entire Canadian economy. The government's response to this crisis has been slow and ineffective, leaving many to wonder if they are doing enough to address the problem. While there have been some efforts to ease the housing crisis, such as increasing supply and implementing foreign buyer taxes, these measures have done little to address the underlying issues. Without a major policy shift, Vancouver's condo market will continue to spiral out of control, and the consequences will be felt by everyone, homeowners, renters, and investors alike. The human cost of this collapse is already staggering, but the full impact has yet to be realized. As more condos sit empty, the city's skyline is becoming a monument to failure. What was once a symbol of Vancouver's prosperity is now a reminder of its downfall. The dream of owning a home in one of Canada's most desirable cities is slipping further away for the average person. And as the crisis deepens, the political pressure to do something will only increase. The fallout from Vancouver's condo crisis will continue to unfold in the coming months and years. It's impossible to predict how long this crisis will last or how deep the damage will go. But one thing is certain: the collapse of Vancouver's condo market is just the beginning. The real question is what happens next. How much worse will it get before things start to turn around? And will the government step in to prevent the collapse from spiraling further out of control? As the situation continues to deteriorate, the pressure on politicians to act will only increase. The fate of Vancouver's condo market and the broader housing market now hangs in the balance. The next few months will be crucial in determining whether Vancouver can recover from this disaster, or if it will continue to spiral into an even deeper crisis. The future of the city and its residents is uncertain. But one thing is clear: the Vancouver condo market is in freefall, and there's no telling how far it will drop before it hits the bottom. The fallout from Vancouver's condo crisis is deepening, and the consequences are being felt in every corner of the city. What began as a modest decline in property values has quickly spiraled into a catastrophic event. The ripple effect is affecting not only homeowners and developers, but the broader economy as well. The market's collapse has exposed the fragility of Vancouver's once thriving real estate industry, and it's becoming clear that the ramifications will be felt for years to come. The city's skyline, which once symbolized prosperity and wealth, is now a haunting reminder of what happens when an artificially inflated market crashes. Condos that were once valued in the millions are now sitting empty, with no buyers in sight. Developers who had rushed to build high-rise towers are now staring at half-finished projects and massive financial losses. What was once seen as a thriving, bustling real estate market is now a ghost town. With over 5,000 condo units at risk of losing all their value, the situation is dire. For many owners, their investments have evaporated. It's hard to imagine how anyone could have predicted the scale of this disaster. Vancouver was once seen as a haven for real estate investment, attracting buyers from all over the world, eager to cash in on the city's booming property market. But now, those same buyers are retreating, and the once vibrant market is collapsing under the weight of its own unsustainability. For the average Vancouverite, the implications are severe. Many homeowners are trapped in properties they can no longer afford, unable to sell, and unable to refinance their mortgages. The economic impact on these families is crushing. Homeownership, once an attainable goal, is now slipping further out of reach for many. Vancouver's affordability crisis has become a full-blown disaster, and the human cost is immeasurable. The dream of owning a home in one of Canada's most desirable cities is quickly becoming a distant memory for many residents. But the crisis doesn't end with homeowners. Developers, who were once the backbone of Vancouver's real estate boom, are now facing ruin. Many have been forced to abandon multi-million-dollar projects that are now deemed financially unfeasible. What once appeared to be a goldmine is now a financial sinkhole. One developer recently declared bankruptcy after a high-profile condo project fell through, leaving hundreds of workers without jobs and thousands of units unsold. The construction industry, once thriving in Vancouver, is now teetering on the brink of collapse. The unemployment rate is rising, and skilled workers are being laid off in droves as construction projects are halted or canceled altogether. At the same time, banks that once eagerly provided loans to home buyers and developers are now tightening their belts, reducing the amount of credit available to the market. Mortgage defaults are at a 15-year high, and the banks that were once so eager to lend are now pulling out of the market entirely. Many homeowners who were once able to secure loans for their properties are now facing the terrifying prospect of foreclosure. The financial institutions that helped drive the boom are now retreating, leaving homeowners and developers to deal with the fallout. The Vancouver condo crisis is not just a financial disaster, it's a failure of the entire system. The policies that were put in place to protect homeowners and encourage investment have instead contributed to the market's collapse. Rising interest rates, high construction costs, and a lack of regulatory oversight have all played a role in pushing the market over the edge. Foreign investment, once a major driving force behind Vancouver's real estate boom, has now become a liability, with many investors pulling their money out of the market and leaving thousands of empty units in their wake. The government's response to the crisis has been lackluster at best. While there have been some attempts to curb speculation and make housing more affordable, these measures have been largely ineffective. Vancouver's housing policies have failed to address the root causes of the crisis. If anything, they have exacerbated the problem, driving up costs and making it even harder for ordinary Canadians to afford a home. The lack of affordable housing, coupled with rising interest rates and soaring construction costs, has created a perfect storm that is now wreaking havoc on the city's real estate market. As the crisis deepens, the political pressure to act is mounting. But will the government be able to reverse the damage done to Vancouver's real estate market? Or is it too late to save the city from the fallout of its own housing policies? Many are calling for a complete overhaul of the city's housing strategy, urging the government to take bold action to make housing more affordable for residents. But with so many competing interests and so much money tied up in the real estate sector, it's unclear whether meaningful change will come. The human cost of this collapse is already staggering, but it's only just beginning. The social impact of this crisis will be felt for years to come. As more and more people are forced to abandon their homes, the emotional toll on Vancouver's residents will be profound. Families who thought they had secured their future in the city are now facing financial ruin, and the psychological stress of losing a home cannot be underestimated. For many, the emotional burden of this crisis will be even more difficult to bear than the financial strain. The sense of security that once came with owning a home in Vancouver has been shattered, and it's unlikely that it will be restored anytime soon. But even as the crisis continues to unfold, there is a growing sense of fear and uncertainty about what comes next. The collapse of Vancouver's condo market is only the tip of the iceberg. What happens when the rest of the housing market crashes? What happens when the economy starts to feel the full impact of this crisis? The truth is, no one knows. But one thing is certain: Vancouver's real estate market will never be the same again. The city is facing a future that is uncertain, and the road to recovery will be long and painful. For many, the collapse of Vancouver's condo market will serve as a harsh lesson about the dangers of speculative investment and the fragility of the real estate market. The city's real estate boom was built on a foundation of debt, foreign investment, and unsustainable growth. Now, that foundation has crumbled, leaving thousands of homeowners, developers, and investors to pick up the pieces. The question remains: how will Vancouver rebuild? How will the city recover from this disaster? The answer, unfortunately, isn't clear. But as the crisis continues to unfold, one thing is certain: Vancouver's real estate market will never be the same again. The dream of homeownership, once a symbol of success and security, has become a distant memory for many Vancouverites. As prices continue to plummet and the city grapples with the fallout from this crisis, the future of Vancouver's housing market remains uncertain. If you don't want to miss the next shocking update on Vancouver's real estate crisis, make sure to like, comment 1, and subscribe to the channel. Stay informed about the latest developments in this unfolding disaster, and don't let the truth be hidden from you. The collapse of Vancouver's condo market is just the beginning. What comes next will shock you. Stay tuned, and let's watch together as the story continues to unfold. In the next video, we'll take a closer look at what's happening behind the scenes of Vancouver's condo crisis. Is there more to this story than meets the eye? And who really stands to benefit from the collapse of the housing market? Stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's coming next.